Would you briefly just introduce yourself and your whip?
Sure. My name's Robert Austin. I'm with a company called EmpowerFresh. We develop software using AI to streamline inventory management and several other things, but only in the fresh departments of independent retail grocers.
What was your very first hourly job?
My very first hourly job was in a place in River Market, Kansas City called Pachota's Fruits and Vegetables.
Uh-huh.
I was only 13. It was cash hourly job, and it was anything no one else wanted to do in a warehouse.
Yeah, that's those might be the most fun jobs.
It was one of the more fun jobs. It was also one of the more, honestly, rewarding jobs because at the end of the summer, they put a big stack of money in my hand, and it was the first time I understood that.
That hard work pays off.
It did.
Pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
What was your favorite part aside from the money?
Probably the warehouse aspect of it. Just kind of, I'll just say grunt work, right? Like just and the people I worked with, and we just had a good time. And before you knew it, the bell was ringing. It was time to go home.
That is cool when you get into that groove.
Yeah. And fun at work isn't a job anymore, right?
So what's your day-to-day now look like?
My day-to-day now, it varies a lot because I'm responsible for in our company. But my day-to-day is typically meetings most of the day, mostly sales meetings, and then business development. Any piece of that. That's why I'm sitting here.
What do you love about your job?
Visiting with people, working with independent grocers. It's one of my favorite things is sitting here talking to you.
It's fun when I ask that question to anyone who's been in the industry or been, pretty much in the industry for more than 10 years. The answer is people.
Yeah, I mean, it's a family. I mean, it doesn't matter who any of these people work for. I mean, this independent grocery world is a giant family, and it's amazing. You go to different events and you see them all working together. They're all competitors, but all of these independents work together on a lot of different fronts, sharing ideas, sharing pain, and I just enjoy being a part of that, honestly.
Well, and I think it's cool because I serve a lot of different verticals, right, with the product that we have. And so one of the things that I think is special about the independent grocery space is that there's also a community among vendors where the core ask is, hey, how do we help move this industry forward and serve this vertical together? And so I think that that's pretty cool. At NGA every year, I'm working with other vendors going, hey, how do we integrate to fix this thing that so-and-so is doing because they have to type it twice? And it's implied. There's no sell on it. I don't have to convince anyone that we need to do the right thing for the customer.
Yeah.
And that's not always true across different verticals.
Yeah, no, agreed. One of the challenges independents face right now that is, to me, I was just, talking about it over here is the amount of tech that they have thrown at them. They have to evaluate, right? And listen, we all know we're at a turning point in the grocery store. Technology is taking over. Labor is waning, all right? It's very challenging right now with the boomers all exiting and only 1/3 the volume in the next generations to fill those seats. There's a lot of complication inside the grocery store now. I do feel for independents. Walmart and these other big guys, they've been using these technologies for a long time, and that's kind of created the advantage. And so now we're in a spot where independents, they have to adopt a lot of these different types of technologies to keep their streak going. They're all multi-generational families. They all don't like change, are hesitant on a lot of things. So for us, we just like to educate them. Here's where you can gain efficiency. If you don't buy, you don't buy. That's the world we live in, right? So our focus is typically education. You don't use our software. You need to be using somebody's in these particular areas, or just the labor challenge itself is going to sink you, right? Because we can't hire produce professionals anymore. They're just not standing on the street corner. Same with professional meat cutters and deli managers. Like, you combine that with the fact that our current generations in the workforce average 3 years in the job place. How do you build a professional?
And that's declining.
And it's declining. You're right. The 2.8 is now even lower. And so, again, it's really critical that they start adopting technologies to replace the professional in the store, right? And so I like being a part of that challenge, being a part of the solution. I do love working with other tech companies like you because we collaborate with a lot of them because we have to connect to a lot of, we need data to do what we do. So we talk to a lot of tech partners and we connect with a lot of them. And I enjoy that aspect too. They learn from us. We learn from them throughout the experience. It's fun. I've only been at it 2 years and I'm enjoying it.
We were talking about how as vendors, we have to stay on the bleeding edge. We have no choice to stay competitive. We have to be on the bleeding edge. We have to know every new piece of technology inside and out. And there's this huge gap between where we know the technology sits and where our particular solutions sit, where a lot of the independent grocers are at, right? Feel this theme that has happened at this year's NGA show when I'm speaking with other vendors where there's this level of frustration. And I felt it in a session yesterday where there was a retailer who was sharing a lot of amazing things that they're doing to overcome employee recruiting problems, retention problems inside their organization that are really impacting them positively, then landed on a note that they're scheduling using sticky notes. And I hear things like that often where it's like sticky note or, hey, no, we use Excel for that. Name the problem. Oh, yeah, we use Excel. We sit down and it takes me 8 hours to build a spreadsheet and color code it the way I want to. And I felt myself, that frustration seeping in to my mood yesterday. And I think my takeaway after kind of calming down and stepping back is like, it's not their job to be bleeding edge. It's our job to help with a baby step to where they need to be and to understand why sticky notes are not where they need to be. Do you ever get that frustration because you're living on the bleeding edge and then you're having to kind of back it up?
I don't know if I would consider it frustration. It just kind of goes back to what I said about our core focus being educating, though.
Yeah.
Right? Because you just touched on it. Like, we have to educate them not only what we do and what the benefit is. We have to teach them why they need to be doing it, why they need to get to a place to utilize it, right? Because one thing you nailed there is their technology level is here. We are all here, right?
And out of necessity in both places.
Out of necessity, we have to help them do that, right? And we have to be patient. And that process is going to take forever because they're independents. But guess what? They need us more than anybody knows because, again, technology, if we can't convince them to adopt them, they're going to lose their street corner in Walmart. And none of us want that. Like, we're all in here holding hands. Walmart's not in here. There's a really good reason for that, right? The truth is, whether we're vendors, retailers, wholesalers, we really should be locking arms just to keep our street corners.
Yes,
right?
100%.
That's our approach. This is where you'll probably talk to multiple tech companies today, but you'll only talk to one that is made up of all lifelong produce professionals. But we sell tech. And we sell the tech that we've wanted in our departments our whole career.
And
right?
that's a huge difference.
It is a huge difference. When we send CSRs in to roll out our software, guess where they've been their whole career? In the produce department, right? Because we believe the only way to get these independents to understand, adopt, and learn is to do it from an independent. You could send a kid in there that's got an IQ of 130 or 180, whatever, and he's really good with math, and he knows the tablet like nobody else. But if he doesn't understand perishability and the difference between this and that, he's not going to help train you. You're not going to learn the tool. You're not going to do it all correctly, and you're not going to get any benefit. Or maybe you're frustrated.
Yeah.
And then you're going to say, I'm sorry, guy, it's not working. And the next tech guy who does it better, he now has a new hurdle. It's called PTSD.
Yeah.
And so, look, these independents got a lot of reason to be apprehensive. And
they do.
So that education piece is monstrous. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's another thing that vendors like me, I mean, I do it, I'm guilty of it for sure, is forgetting how many times the independents, whether directly or just through the space, have been lied to.
Yeah.
About where their expectations have been set, and then the vendors have fallen flat on their face, sometimes intentionally, knowing that was how it's going to go. And it's frustrating for me because we don't operate that way. You don't operate. No one that I work with, I won't work with anyone who operates that way. But they exist, and a lot of independents have been burned by them. And so I go in completely forgetting that even is a thing and going, well, yeah, we have this amazing product. Here's the returns. Look at you can see the whites in my eyes. This is what it's going to do for you. And that skepticism is healthy, frankly, for them.
Oh, it is. I mean, it's so healthy that beginning of our conversations, we now baked in the word PTSD.
Wow.
Right? We not lead, but early on in our conversation, we address the fact that we already know you have PTSD.
Just get the elephant in the room.
Let's just talk about it, right? Because if it's really bad and you're just talking to me to be friendly and you're not interested in the product, let's just have that conversation. But typically for us and our team, and I know you and your team, I know these guys well enough. They talk to you for 10 minutes and they know where your heart's at and they know what you're trying to accomplish with them. And so it helps a lot. But there's other sharks in the water too. You know, it's amazing to me. You have tech company A, he's been doing this task for the grocer for how many years. He owns the relationship. But then he sees everyone has to start doing B. He already owns the relationship, so he just starts lying and telling them they're doing B. It stops them from opening the door of possibility to get other forms of technology, right? There you go. It's just another hurdle that for the independent, they have to somehow navigate, right? So that they can get to vendors like you and I.
Yeah. Well, and not to get too meta, but it's not just that individual independent who's hurt, but when vendor A does that, that vendor is holding the entire space by the balls so that they can't progress.
They either don't do it at all because they're saying they're going to do it, or they don't do it well because they're masters at A.
And they don't have
Not
to.
B. That's right.
Pretty fired up.
I'd go forever, right? So, but look, I like I said, I think all of our hearts are in the right spot. And I always tell folks on our team, time is our greatest ally. Sometimes we look at it as our greatest enemy. But truthfully, when you're working with independent grocers, time is your greatest ally. It takes time to win them trust. And so you have to be patient through that process.
A few times. Sometimes I forget it and I have to relearn it.
That's only because that one made you really frustrated. It's a great job. And I've been re-immersing myself into this world the last couple of years. And I haven't met anybody I didn't like yet. So that's probably what makes my job so awesome.
It's a pretty special community that's been built out here.
100%.
Well, is there anything else that you think is really important that people in either vendors or retailers in independent grocery need to know about right now?
Yeah, I think if I were to just broadcast with a megaphone, I would just say, look, there are partners you can trust. There are vendor partners that are going to work with you to achieve your goals, not just sell you. But by golly, you got to work your way through and figure out who they are. And that process is a process in itself, too, that they have to find time for. And remember, none of these grocers have time for anything. I'll tell you a little something that's in one of our presentations. I don't know, we use it to break the ice. It's called the law of sevens, right? We deal with independent grocers, right? They're so busy. If you get their attention, you only get 7 minutes. And then in those 7 minutes, if you win a meeting, it might be 7 weeks before you get it. And in that meeting, if you pitch something they love, they come back to the table around 7 months. And so we call it the law of sevens. We live by it because it's true. It's not going anywhere. But what we also do is we educate them in what their losses were in that 7 months evaluation period. Because time is money. One of the things we talk about a lot is that our app really probably one of the biggest things is, real-time access to performance data and metrics. Since the beginning of time as grocers, we've been analyzing our previous month's performance and trying not to make the same mistakes and trying to increase the wins, but you can't get the money back from the mistakes, right?
Yeah.
So having something in your hand that gives you those alerts, it gives you that real-time access, and you make a change right now, you're dropping out all that suffrage, all that loss. And I think to me, that's the biggest thing these independents need. They need daily reminders, accesses, alerts, whatever it is. They need daily insight so they can make daily decisions. Because in produce, especially, waiting that 30 days costs thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, and technology doesn't. And they all need the will to increase the technology in their store all the way down to the Wi-Fi or the register, right? We all got a job to do here.
This is the human condition, not independent grocers condition, but we got to get out of our own way and go, I'm going to invest the time to save myself the time.
Yeah.
I'm going to invest the money to save myself the money. And you got to make time for it. If someone wanted to know a little bit more about Empower Fresh, wanted to reach out, connect with you, how should they do that?
So there's a few options. EmpowerFresh.com is a great way to learn everything about our business. LinkedIn, the Empower Fresh page, another great way to monitor what we're doing all the time, who we work with, and LinkedIn.com/Robert Austin, direct line to me. And I'm happy to field and call or email anytime.
That's the most community thing I've heard. I love it. Thank you so much for your time.
Yes, it was great meeting you.